Hi guys, today we're going to talk about transformations that are rotations. All right, so specifically we're going to talk about rotations around or about the origin. So there's two different ways that we could rotate a figure about the origin. We could rotate it clockwise, which is exactly what it sounds like, right? The figure rotates in the direction of which clock hands would rotate. Or we could rotate a figure counterclockwise, which means that the figure would rotate the opposite direction of what a clock hand would rotate around a clock. Something interesting is when we learn about our rules for today, a 90 degrees clockwise rotation ends up being the same as a 270 degrees clockwise rotation. And likewise, a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation is the same as a 270-degree clockwise rotation. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and look at our first rule here. So the first rule that we have, if we want to rotate a figure 90 degrees clockwise about the origin, the rule that we have to do that is, if we start with a point xy, it rotates such that our x and y swap positions and our x value becomes negative. Okay, so x and y change positions and our x value is negated. Okay, so a 90 degrees clockwise rotation about the origin, the rule is x and y swap positions and x is negated. All right, so knowing that, let's look at example 1. Oops, sorry, I got some highlighter over here. Let's erase that. All right, so let's look at example 1. Example 1 asks us, and I'll use red here, to rotate the figure 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. All right, so the first thing that I would like to do for this particular problem is I would like to identify what our points A through D are, our original points. Well, my point A is located at 1, -1. My point B is located at 4, -1. C is located at 4, -3. Oh, glitching. And D is located at 1, -3. So if I want to know what my image points are, and I know that I am rotating 90 degrees clockwise about the origin, what that means to me is that my x and y values swap position, but my x value is now negated. Therefore, A prime would now be located at -1, -1. B prime would now be located at -1, -4. C prime would now be located at -3, -4. That's a negative. And D prime is located at -3, -1. So I can go ahead and plot these points. -1, -1, that's my A prime point. B prime is located at -1, -4. C prime is located at -3, -4. And D prime is located at -3, -1. And there you see that I have a 90-degree clockwise rotation about the origin. So something that's interesting with a 90-degree clockwise rotation about the origin is let's see if I can change colors here. There is a 90-degree angle that is formed between the image and the pre-image vertices and the origin. Okay, and we have that with each one of these. So A to A prime, B to B prime, C to C prime, D to D prime will all have a 90-degree angle formed between them and the origin, with the 90-degree angle occurring at the origin. All right, so let's look at our next rule for rotations. Our next rule for rotations, we want to rotate 90 degrees. Now we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to go counterclockwise about the origin. Okay, so if we want a 90-degree Counterclockwise rotation about the origin. Once again, your x and your y values are swapped positionally, but the y value is negated this time and not the x value. Okay, so x and y swap positions. Your y value is the one that's negated and not your x value. Just like before, what we were talking about is there will still be a 90-degree angle formed between corresponding vertices and the origin. Okay, so you can see that occurring right here. If I can. Okay, so 90-degree angle is still formed between corresponding vertices and the origin. All right, so let's look at our example 2. Example 2, we want to rotate the figure 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So I'm going to go through the same process that I just went through above. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually label what are all of my points. I know that A is point A, my pre-image point, is found at 2, -2. My pre-image point B is found at 1, -4. Pre-image point C is located at 4, -2. And pre-image point D is located at 5, -4. Now I need to find the corresponding image points. Don't forget our rule says that x and y swap positions, but y is negated. Therefore, A prime is going to be +2, +2. B prime is going to be +4, 1. C prime is going to be 2, 4. And D prime is going to be 4, 5. All right, that being said, I'm going to use my red, and I'm going to go ahead and plot these points. So the point 2, 2 is right here. That's A prime. I'm going to need to give myself a little bit more space here. Okay. My image point B prime is located at 4, 1. My image point C prime is located at 2, 4. And my image point D prime is located at 4, 5. And there you have it. I have my figure rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. All right, so let's look at our last example. So with this example, we want to talk about our last little rule here. So if we would like to rotate a figure 180 degrees about the origin, notice I don't tell you clockwise or counterclockwise, and there's a reason for that, because it doesn't matter, right? If we are rotating 180 degrees, it's going to end up in the same spot whether we rotate it clockwise or whether we rotate it counterclockwise. So this is actually my very favorite rule for rotations, and the reason for that is because it just simply negates x and y. They don't change positions. They still stay in their same respective positions. The only thing that's different is that the x value is negated and the y value is negated. So now I want us to go over and look at this last example, example 3, and we want to rotate this figure 180 degrees about the origin. So at this point, I would like for you to pause your video. I would like for you to try and do this problem on your own, and then let's come back and see how you did. All right, so the first thing that I would like to do here is I would like to identify what my original pre-image points are. A is located at 1, 3. B is located at 3, 5, and C is located at 3, 1. Now I want to identify my image points. So A prime, notice x and y stay in their positions. The only thing that changes is that they are negated. So A prime is now -1, -3. B prime is now -3, -5, and C prime is now -3, -1. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these points, -1, -3, A prime. B prime is -3, -5, and C prime is -3, -1. That should be a prime. And there you have it. So something interesting that you can see is, unlike in the other examples, right, where we had a 90-degree angle formed between the corresponding vertices and the origin, now we actually have a line formed between corresponding vertices. Is this coincidence? Absolutely not. We've rotated 180 degrees about the origin. Well, you guys know now that 180 degrees actually equals a line. So it makes perfect sense. Hope you guys are well. See you tomorrow.